Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Atif Syed on the line, and he is the CEO and founder over at Wutsano. Atif, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Adam. Thanks for having me around.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about today. So I want to get into Wutsano and really what it's doing to help the fresh produce industry. We're going to get into the electronic skin, what that means. But first, I know we were introduced originally through FII Institute and some of their events that they hold. So first thing first, I'd like to give a big shout out to FII for all the great work they're doing, bringing people together. And I'm just curious, how did you originally learn about the organization?
So FII a few years ago contacted me to attend a flagship event in Riyadh. This
Mm.
was 2022. So I went in to the event in Riyadh. I actually grew up in Riyadh until I was
Ah,
16. Although I don't think there was any connection between the two,
sure.
between the two sides, but I went back to Saudi Arabia after a good sort of 12, 13 years, and I've seen a
Hmm.
massive transformation in the country.
Mm.
What I've left 13 years ago as basically a child,
Mm.
I've come up and I've seen a different side of the country, which is very good to see. About I think it was 10,000 plus people in the event.
Wow.
And yeah, quite a few important people who I ended up meeting. And then subsequently, I've been to the event almost every year, one
Mm.
time as a speaker and so on. So, I've been following it through. So, and not only the flagship event in Riyadh, I've also went to the priority events. So Miami
Mm.
is one of them. They held one in Rio last year and
Hmm.
I know Hong Kong, and they're planning on doing a European one in a couple of months' time. So I think the work they're doing is pretty good, trying to get people from different industries towards a specific theme, but how can we use investment and technology as a
Mm.
tool for the greater good? So yeah, that's how I got involved.
Mm. Can you talk a little bit about, this has been a great theme as we've been building out this interview series. Can you talk a little bit about that transformation from Riyadh that you've seen, like in that course of those years that you mentioned? What are some of the changes you noticed?
I think the biggest one was openness. I think
Mm.
I felt the country had a lot of potential, especially for the youth of the country. I had a lot of Saudi friends when I grew up, and the opportunities weren't there for them to realize their full potential. The
Mm.
country has become a lot more open, a lot more accepting of different cultures and different ideas, something which I wouldn't have seen previously.
Wow.
The transformation from even the thoughts in the industry of fashion, for example,
Yeah.
they into the side of new ideas which weren't. I don't think people had platforms previously to really express that out, and
Hmm.
that has really come forward too. When I landed in Riyadh again after 13 plus years at the airport, I had a big poster of a David Guetta concert, and 13 years ago. I would have never imagined that I'll see a big poster of David Guetta on on the app. So,
Wow.
so for me, that was I mean, even though I grew up in the country, it was a cultural shock. And I felt as you go around and you see the youth of the country, there seems there's so much optimism, there's so much like they want to do and transform. And I think, and I'm also happy that they've kept a lot of the culture behind. When you come to Saudi Arabia, you can go to
Hmm.
UAE and other parts, but I think Saudi Arabia has still kept the Saudi culture whilst adopting and embracing the international community. And I think that's how it should be.
Yeah.
You should really get your culture out first and show to the
Yeah.
world whilst, being open and accepting to everyone else. I think that was the huge transformation for me, having lived,
Mm.
grew up there.
Yeah. Wow, what an amazing story. Let's change it up a little bit here. I do want to talk a little bit about your company with the time we have here, Utsano. So maybe tell us a little bit more about Utsano and also how it's helping the robotics and how it's helping the fresh produce industry.
Sure. So Wutan is a robotics business. We make very dexterous robots. These robots
Mm.
are designed to work like human beings on production lines. So the kind of tasks that robots currently do with the Avra robotic system
Hmm.
is they go onto a production line and do all the work what people would have done
Mm.
by handling fruits and vegetables. So for example, as soon as a table grapes, let's say, is harvested in the field, it comes
Mm.
into a packing house. And that's where these
Yeah.
robots process it. They look for quality, they look at how good or bad the product is, and do everything what is required. And then they differentiate between, okay, is this a Target product or Walmart product or Whole Foods
Hmm.
product? And eventually gets bagged or packed or floor wrapped or whatever the end packaging is, and then goes out to retail shelf.
Mm.
So we reduce and remove a lot of manual repetitive tasks by people so that the robots can take over these repetitive tasks. The reason why
Mm.
robots couldn't have done this before is because a lot of robots are not dexterous enough. They don't have the same
Hmm.
dexterity as human beings to handle very delicate or very random products like
Yeah.
fruits. Fruits look so different, day one,
Yeah.
day 50. The same produce, same variety, grown in the same area looks different. So for computer vision to understand the differences between
Hmm.
the two, it's a complex task. So yeah, Wutsan have done that, and currently we're in about 7 countries around the world. We are a British company based in the northeast of England, but
Hmm.
we operate and ship our robots to the US, all the way to Japan, Australia, and so on.
Can you give an example of maybe of what this would look like for a factory or a produce company that was to implement maybe a robot? What does that look like?
So the robot, in terms of look and feel
Hmm.
physically, the robot takes up less space than a human being, has
Mm.
got an average height of a human being, about 165 to 170 centimeters.
Hmm.
So in terms of space it requires, it's a fairly nimble product.
Yeah.
From a production line, if you are employing people to again process manual tasks, manually handling
Hmm.
fruits, manually handling vegetables, and we actually gone now recently away from fruits and veg. We have projects now where we're helping one of the largest chicken manufacturers to see if the chicken nuggets are good or bad, for example, right? And we're
Yeah.
helping another company handle
Did you bring up
industrial
that
laundry.
example because you're talking to someone in the US right now? Had to throw in a chicken nugget? I don't know. No, I'm just playing.
No, 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 no. I mean, to
Come
be honest,
on, man. No,
I
you're like,
mean, I mean,
we were
it's
talking
it's
about
true.
the culture of Riyadh. So now, okay, we'll throw in the American some culture over there. We'll throw in a chicken McNugget. No, I had to, man. I had
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
awesome.
Well. To be honest, I mean, to be honest, it's a kind
It's true. It's true. I can laugh. It's fine.
of chicken nuggets and processed food. Yeah.
Our number one export. Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
I have to tell you, every time I come to the
Sorry,
US,
world.
every 1 week trip, I
Mhm.
come to the US, I gain half a pound, probably,
I
or a pound. Like every meal, I could never finish. It's so big and so huge. Like you feel guilty trying to throw it away, but at the same time, if you eat a lot of it, yeah, killing yourself, I guess. But yeah, I mean, in the UK, it's
sorry to
opposite.
derail the interview. Okay.
Sorry, coming back to the chicken nuggets, and
Yeah,
yeah, I'm feeling hungry to be honest now.
I know.
To chicken nuggets. Yeah, so I was saying that if you're a
Hmm.
production manager, or if you got a production line handling
Yeah.
a variety of random products, right? We started off with fruits and veg, we do that very well. But
Hmm.
random products like chicken nuggets is one of them.
Yep.
But
Yep.
also we've got things like industrial towels, believe it or not.
Mm.
So laundries where they take towels from hospitals and hotels and
Mm.
bring them up, and you need to wash them up and deliver every day. On an
Hmm.
industrial level, you still need dexterous handling of these towels. They're
Yeah.
very random, they can be randomly thrown in the bin, and you need
Hmm.
to take it out and stuff. So robots do these kind of very complicated tasks on a
Mm.
product. And the interesting thing is the cost of the robot is pegged to the cost of human beings in the
Mm.
country where it's installed in. So a robot price differs. It's like going and working in the US versus
Hmm.
going to work in Thailand. You'll
Mm.
get a Thai wage versus a US wage. You know what I mean? So we're
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
make it accessible. These robots are very accessible to people across.
Mm. That makes a lot of sense. What is the electronic skin? Like, how does that work?
So electronic skin has been my personal contribution to the company.
Hmm.
I've invented this unique piece of material almost a decade ago now. So the e-skin is a stretchable, twistable material which enables like robots, for example, or any other product to really feel like human beings. So the skin is able to tell that the force or pressure, temperature, it knows slippage, for example. So similar to when you hold a pen in hand, you know the weight of it, you know the temperature, you need the feeling of the pen. And if it's slipping out of
Yeah.
his hand, you feel that, right? So the skin gives that level of sensitivity to not just robots, but other applications as well. We've done a lot of things in the past. One of the things we've also been working on the side is helping prosthetic limbs, really, people who are using prosthetic limbs, amputees, to not
Mm.
just hold the product, but also feel back themselves
Yeah.
And that's amazing because imagine you were born without a limb. You never felt that feeling before. So if he
Hmm.
can replicate that feeling back to you and give your brain that level of sensation
Wow.
needed. So there are lots of those applications around. So the electronic skin, currently there are a few other people who are trying to do electronic skin, but this was the first ever in the world.
Mm.
In the UK, it got the highest prize in engineering, equivalent to Nobel Prize. It's also
Wow.
considered as one of the most important invention of the British invention of 21st century. So there's been a lot of positive accolades behind it. But obviously, the robots, our robot, use
Hmm.
it to peel fruits and veg right now, and maybe chicken nuggets, or other products along the line. But their applications for the electronic skin itself are immense, hugely wide.
Mm, man, this is amazing. Well, Atif, I'll tell you, it's first off, thank you for making some time to come on the show. This has been a lot of fun to learn more about your company and also learn more about and your connection with FII Institute, the great work happening there, and for your unique insight into some of the transformation that's taking place in Saudi. So appreciate that. That being said, if somebody wants to continue to follow your work or the company, how do they do that?
You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on our website, woodsano.com. There's a contact us page, which believe me, we monitor those contact pages. So please, if you send the information across, it doesn't
Yeah.
just go into ether. There's someone who will look into it.
Mm.
However, if you're a foreign currency trading company wanting to sell FX to us, then don't bother. I think that's one type of
Or get help with your SEO. I got it.
or the SEO. Yeah, how can you make a
They
website
get
better?
me all the time. I'm like, come on, another one day. Well,
Every other person. But please, please
yeah.
send it across. We actively monitor our website
Yep.
and an inquiry is coming down there.
Amazing. And for everybody watching this, just so you know, we'll definitely put the links in the show notes so that you can just click on the link and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. Each and every day, we're bringing you new content, new ideas, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way on your journey as well. So again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Atif, man, looking forward to catching you at the next priority event. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you, Adam.